One of the things that I've noticed both in my training and in my professional career is that our biology, or biology in general, doesn't like sudden change. It prefers slow, gradual changes. And when it's a slow, gradual change, there's not much disruption to the system. The system doesn't go into shock. So the idea of shock in medicine is that there's a sudden change in the equilibrium of the human body, in the homeostasis, in this idea that there's a balance of number of different kind of variables in the body. And when there's a sudden change to that balance, to that equilibrium, to that homeostasis, you have a shock. So nothing sudden, and you're going to be good. And so a lot of the times when I talk about squat every day, a lot of guys say, "Oh, I did 3x10 or 5x5. I don't know how you recover for the next day. How can you do that possibly the next day?" That's a fundamental misunderstanding of what squat every day is. Squat every day is like basically a slow, gradual change to your biology. You can't smack yourself with a hammer to the head and expect to be normal, right? Light taps every single day. That's a poor analogy, but you get the picture, right? So in biology, I've seen it many, many times at work. People come in and we do their bloods and you're like, God damn, you have no blood. You have no red blood cells in your body. The hemoglobin is like at 70 or 80. And you're like, damn, man. And they're chilling. They're fine. They might get a little bit of shorter breath when they walk upstairs or when they do something around the house, but they're just generally okay. They're going about their kind of normal business. But if I was to, cut you somewhere and suddenly bleed your system, and so you go from 130, 120, 140, something like that hemoglobin level in the blood, and you drop to 60, 70, 80, suddenly within the space of like an hour, you're feeling it. You're feeling dizzy, you're feeling lethargic, you're feeling short of breath, all those type of things. So there's another example of how slow kind of changes to that hemoglobin level in the body doesn't really make you suffer. You're not kind of optimal, you're not prime for prime performance, but you're not in shock either. And so this thing I've seen in training as well. What I always say to people is if you want to do anything every day, take your weekly volume, what you're doing right now. Say you're doing 5x5 3 days a week, right? You're doing 5x5. So you're doing 15 sets a week. Well, take those 15 sets and divide that thing by 7. And that's your daily volume. Not 5x5 every single day. Because, your volume's going like double if you do that. So, and that's how you start. So you take your weekly volume right now, divide that by 7, start there, and then slowly introduce another set and another idea and whatever. That's how you do it. So today marks day 8 of me deadlifting every day. And so today I decided to do some more volume in the squat. So I ended up doing 3x5 at 140 kilos. Yesterday I did 10 singles at 130 kilos. That was kind of like just technique work, not a lot of disruption to muscle or fatigue. That was just purely, working on my mobility yesterday so I can squat 180 for one, pause. And so today I thought it was a good idea because I've kind of given my body, 7-8 days to kind of get accustomed to this new idea of deadlifting every day. And the whole idea with auto regulation is to do that. Every single day you're kind of honest with yourself and you go, okay, I feel like this, or the body's telling me this, or my energy levels are like this, or whatever. Like that's the whole idea about auto regulation. You kind of warm up. You don't make the call on the couch. You never do that because the couch is always lying to you. The freaking thing is comfortable. There's chips on the table. There's Netflix on the screen. And, oh, God, 5x5 today? Hell no. Screw that. Get off the couch. Get your ass to the gym. Warm up. Then make the call. Because that when you warm up and when the blood is kind of rolling around and you're feeling all fresh and warmed up, that's when you make the call. Not when you kind of got sleep in your eyes and you kind of wake up and you can't even see the freaking light. You don't make, if you ask me, when I wake up in the morning, do you want to squat every day or do you want to go like 100, 200? Hell no, man. I don't want to do anything like that, man. I can barely walk out of the bed right now. But the moment I get to the bar and warm up, all of a sudden I feel good. The blood is rushing around. I'm all that stuff. So today I decided to, introduce these squats. And probably I'll be a little bit sore tomorrow, but I'll make the call again tomorrow for what I do tomorrow. But the whole idea is that you're easing into things. My squat volume has been very, very low for the last few weeks, I want to say, as I've kind of been, experimenting with this posterior chain stuff, back extensions, RDLs, lots of deadlifting, reverse lunges, all these type of things for me to kind of address this weakness that I've identified as. So I've kind of put the squats on the back burner for a little bit in terms of volume. I'm still hitting the singles. So that's kind of how my approach is. And I think a lot of you guys are like, you're doing heaps of work or whatever, but I'm always kind of, if I add here, I'm going to subtract over here. And that's kind of how I look at things. I'm actually quite surprised, quite pleasantly surprised that my body's kind of held up with this deadlift everyday business. I've had a few days of kind of DOMs in my hamstrings predominantly, maybe a little bit of glutes. That first couple of days when I did the hyper extensions, man, that was brutal. Like I was proper sore there. But everything's kind of settled down now. The storm is over. I think the storm in the sense of performance is still here. Like I'm still kind of in a little lull. Like I'm not pulling 250. Obviously, you can't pull 250 every single day in the deadlift. I'm waiting for those adaptations to kind of happen. I'm just kind of working on that frequency right now, getting to the gym every single day and deadlifting every day. That's basically a PR. If you think about it, like I've never deadlifted this many days in a row. I could probably look at the book, the logbook, but I don't think I've done this in the past. So there's PRs happening there. And so I think a lot of people don't appreciate, don't value consecutive days, which is fine, whatever. But in terms of biology, it is a thing. It is a thing to do work every single day. And it's part of that whole idea of farmer strength. These guys are working every single day. And so, it takes a lot of years to kind of adapt to a stimulus like that. And the tissue that a farmer has, we've always said it, it's kind of stringy, it's kind of like wiry. It's a different type of body than a bodybuilder. A bodybuilder is massive, impressive, looks very nice. But the tissue is kind of like, it's different. It's not wiry. It's more kind of fluid retention. It's more kind of like glycogen retention. It's all kind of like fluff. Not that I'm saying that these people are bad or wrong or whatever. I'm just trying to distinguish the two types of muscle fibers. It's just a different guy. When you see a mechanic's forearm, that's a different type of forearm. It just looks different. So that's kind of how I'm approaching this. 8th day today, which is, it's just the start of things really for where my mind wants to go with this. So, after I did the 200, the 220 deadlift today, I went over to the RDLs and I did some RDLs. And I don't know whether you guys can see there, but I kind of been playing with my foot positioning a little bit. I saw a video by Dmitry Klokov, do these, I think they're called hang power snatches. I think that's what you call them. Where he basically is in a snatch position, deadlifts the bar to kind of the hip level. Oh no, he doesn't go to the hip level. He goes to kind of like the knee level or just underneath the knee, holds it there, and then explodes from that position overhead. And I've seen him do some crazy, crazy weight, like stupid weight with that. And what I've noticed about him, obviously he's a different type of animal. What I've noticed with him is that his feet are very, very kind of turned out. And when I see him and how he's structured, I see a lot of me in him in terms of like that bowed leggedness at the bottom. Like my feet are kind of bowed a little bit, kind of like him. I mean, he's a very, very bowed, kind of like fully. And so it gave me the idea to kind of start playing with that feet turned out business. And what I found in the last few days that I've done this and played around with this is that my glutes turn on more. And when my glutes turn on more, my lower back turns off more. So it's kind of like a seesaw thing. When your glutes are firing, your back is chilling. When your glutes are off, your back is firing. And so obviously we want the glutes to do most of the work because that's basically like the powerhouse of the human body. So that was a nice little thing. And today when I was doing the squats, I also kind of turned my feet out with that as well. And I noticed more quad involvement. So you can see how these changes to your positioning will favor your body in certain ways. I always wanted to kind of do parallel feet, pointing directly forward, ATG squats, and all of that. And I had some success with that, but I found it wasn't stimulating the body as it is stimulating when I turn my feet out. And I don't know, I mean, everyone's different and whatever, you can find your way, how you want to do it. I still have a narrow stance with this. It's just my feet are turned out and I feel like my glutes and quads get engaged a bit more. And I feel a lot more comfortable in the hole when I do that. you can play with that. You can always kind of play with things and see. For me, ever since I've started kind of attacking the posterior chain, my hips are wanting to turn my feet out. So I'm getting kind of more external rotation in the hip, and that's kind of making me more comfortable in that kind of externally rotated kind of hip position, or like feet turned out. So it's interesting how when you favor a particular portion of your body, your posture changes, the way your gait changes, the way you walk and do all of that changes. So I thought that was a really interesting thing today. And I've said to you guys all the time that I rarely feel my quads in squats, but today I felt them. I felt them big time. It wasn't a super heavy weight or super many reps. I've said in the past that the only time I feel quads in a squat is when I take it to like a set of 10 or 20. Today, a set of 5 was putting my quads on the map. And I think the change there was the feet turning out. So that's a cool thing. And tomorrow is going to be interesting to see how I pull up and how it all kind of feels. Right now, I'm planning to do RDLs every single day. One day heavier, kind of like today. Today I did 100 kilos for 3 sets of 10, and that lit me up properly. Hamstrings are getting a thumping every day now. But I think these high repetitions are kind of circulating the blood a little bit more through there and making me recover a little bit better. That's how it feels, at least to me. So these RDLs are making my deadlifts feel comfortable every single day. I moved away from the hypers in the last couple of days, mostly because this gym here is really close to home. It's like 10 minutes away. The ones that have the hypers are like 30 minutes away. And so I kind of favor this gym more. I don't know why, like not a lot of gyms, this brand gyms, not a lot of these places have the hypers. I've seen 2 places with the hypers, and most of them have the GHD. So I've kind of played around with the GHD, but I think, the RDLs are superior for me. It targets me a little bit better in terms of the glutes and the hamstrings. The hypers are incredible, but I do get fried in the lower back. So I don't want to completely wipe the hypers off the table. Maybe I'll do them, once a week or something like that when I go to those particular gyms. But I think for now, RDLs are the one to do every single day, because hitting the glutes every single day is cool. It's fine. Hitting the lower back every day, that's a tricky thing. Because I feel like the more I smash the lower back, the less the glutes want to get involved. And the less the glutes get involved, the weaker I am. So anytime I can, get the glutes on the map, it feels really good. I feel really strong. And I've had a lot of questions about why I've kind of started doing those kneeling deadlifts before I start pulling the heavy weight. And I saw that from a fella here in Australia, in Melbourne. His name is Kevin Bowie. Go check him out. He's I think he's 80 odd kilo lifter. He's world class. Like in terms of his deadlifting, he's exceptional. I think I've seen him pull 340. He's a skinny guy, obviously, 80 odd kilos. He's not that short. He's quite tall, it looks like. So I've subscribed to him. I follow him. He's an incredible puller. There seems to be a lot of these guys who are really skinny with incredible pulls. So he was the first guy that I saw do the kneeling deadlifts. Really, really impressive. And so I tried it. And the moment I tried it, I realized that it was kind of like a kneeling squat. It kind of gets the glutes involved. And so I tried it before I deadlifted, and I felt, okay, so that's kind of like all glute. And then when I jump up and I do the deadlift, I feel like I've got a mind-muscle connection with the glute, and it gets me away from that kind of lower back, involvement. It makes me feel a little bit better when I do the deadlift. So that's kind of where that originated from. I'm not the guy who came up with this, not at all. It was Kevin. I don't know where he got it from, whether he got it somewhere. But that's how these things kind of happen in the fitness community and in any sort of community. You see a guy, you try something, you see me do something, you try something. And then merry goes around, and eventually maybe the 100th guy will come up with a different idea and build on that, not reinvent the wheels, but just build on that. And all of a sudden, the 200th guy down the line is there pulling 900 because he's modified this initial thought. So anyway, I don't know if I'll keep that. I don't know if I'll continue to do it. But for now, it kind of feels really good and kind of makes me It's kind of like a pin squat. I don't know, like I've spoken about pin squats and what they do to me before I squat. When I lift 300 kilos of high pins and then I go do my 200 kilos for 1 ATG, I'm not scared of the 200. Like it's just, I look at this bar, I'm like, man, screw all weight on here, man. Like it looks light because I've just gone through 340 or 300. You know what I mean? Kind of like that with these kneeling deadlifts. I'm a lot more stronger off the knee than I am when I'm standing. The range of motion is basically like a rack pull above the knee. You know what I mean? Like it's like a mid-thigh rack pull, which is, God knows, you could probably do 1,000 pounds from that position. It's just basically no range of motion. So when I do the kneeling deadlift before I do the actual deadlift, and I pull up 240, 250 or whatever it is, I'm like, I can do this. This feels light, and it kind of puts you in this mental kind of preparation state where you're like, okay, let's attack this. Let's not quit on the pull. Keep pulling. So that's kind of why I do that. This is the beautiful thing about, being in this community, loving this community and kind of always talking to you guys in the comments. You always learn something. There's people all around the world kind of doing exactly what we're doing. Everyone's kind of experimenting. Everyone's got their own brain and experience, and everyone's kind of trying to work this puzzle out for themselves. And, if you watch other people lift and if you watch, other people trying to work these problems out, you'll learn something. Kind of like when you guys watch me, you're like, oh, that's a really good idea. And then in the comments, you go, oh, have you tried, you say, have you tried this? And I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. So it's kind of like we're feeding off each other. And I think that's the beautiful thing about having a community like this is there's just continual building. There's an occasional negative mind or whatever, but those people I don't pay attention to. Those people are not contributing to me or to the community, and I just don't have time for that. So that's the idea with me right now. A whole bunch of RDLs every day, a whole bunch of deadlifting every day, and I'm trying to kind of sneak in some volume with the squats. Why did I pick 5s? I don't know. I thought 3 plates was the thing to do today, and I think a set of 5 was feeling really good. The reason I didn't pause was, again, to stay away from the heavier loads. I could probably do, I don't know, after all this work, probably 160 for 3 sets of 5 as well. Decided not to do that because, once again, I've got in mind what I'm going to do tomorrow. And tomorrow is going to be an interesting day, potentially a PR day, because I'm going to a night shift tonight. So lack of sleep, lack of food, blah, 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 all the stuff that I keep talking about. Definitely not ideal conditions. So it could be a PR day because, whenever I feel shit, there's a high chance of me doing something impressive in terms of a personal record. So let's see how it goes on. I don't know. I'm doing deadlift every day now, so I don't know how that is going to influence me. And especially today, I did some volume on the squat, so tomorrow might not be a good day. But anyway, I'll auto-regulate it. I'll come in, I'll do the best I can, and I'll go from there, really. That's all. That's all I got for you guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. It's probably going to be a later session. I'll probably upload a bit later. Tonight, I'm going to upload earlier. Tomorrow, I'm going to upload later. And that's it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.